This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And here we are, December the 28th, 2021, heading towards that new year, and the person I got on the show with me tonight, I just connected with last night, and she struck my fancy enough. I've got to hear her story. I love having the indie performers come on here, and I got to say a special shout out to Amy Crabtree for a post she put on Facebook, because that was where I discovered my guest tonight, the lovely, absolutely stunning Lydia Manson. How do you do, Lydia?
I'm good. How are you?
I know she got Trauma shirt on.
I do. I'm actually friends with a few people that work at Trauma, so.
I've had Mark Torgel on here. Are you friends with Melvin the Mop Boy?
So Melvin actually gave a shout out to the film that I was producer on, The House That Eats Flesh, and said how much he was excited for The House That Eats Flesh. So absolutely love Mark.
Did you make him clean up the floors in his tutu?
Not yet. Maybe for the sequel.
He's a great guy.
Yes, absolutely. All the people that I've met from Trauma have been absolutely amazing. I've actually gotten to do a couple of conventions with them, so that's been a highlight so far of my year.
Conventions. Let's talk about conventions. I started doing the conventions in 2017. I don't know if you're familiar with the film Class of 1984, but Lisa Langlois was in that. It was an early Michael J. Fox movie. She was in that, and she invited me to assist her at Horrorama in Toronto, and I got the convention bug from that, because it's
Aren't they great?
They are a lot of fun, I'll tell you that. I've done 3 Horror-Ramas. I've done 1 Toronto Comic Con, and I did Frightmare at the Falls last year, where I got to say, Felissa Rose is absolutely amazing.
I've got to meet her a couple of times on set and at conventions. She's just absolutely amazing each and every time that I meet her. So absolutely love her. She's amazing.
Well, she was busy the whole weekend.
Oh, but her line is always ridiculously long, but she's such a great person to meet because she just makes every experience great.
Yep.
So I don't blame her line for being long at all.
Well, you know what? It's funny because when I met her, I was connected to her through Sandy Johnson originally, because I threw the Doubtfire Face Challenge for suicide and depression awareness out to Sandy Johnson, and it's a cause for suicide and depression awareness where you take a pie in the face and you nominate 3 people. Sandy did this, and her husband was dressed up as Michael Myers when he put the pie in her face, and one of the people she nominated was Felissa Rose. And I showed Felissa the video when I got to our table, and Felissa was like, she turns to her handler and says, "I'm taking a pie in the face."
Oh, she's great. She's such a sport.
Yeah. So, but not only is she going to do it, but she's going to do it with Dave Sheridan.
Those 2 together are a riot.
Yeah, I know. Riot. I met him too. Officer Doofy.
Yep.
And
I'm cleaning my room
with a vacuum cleaner.
That's the best I
got. And Andy Vincent and Christina
Vincent from Child's Play.
Yeah,
I love him.
And Christina Lease. So you go do it with those people. So yeah, that is for suicide and depression awareness, and I've had a few of my guests do it. I wish I had more people at 13 Fanboy do it, considering the money I put into that film. But
isn't that how it always goes? Well, I will gladly take a pie to the face for suicide and depression awareness, because it's a topic that's true to my heart. I suffer from very severe depression and anxiety, and I try to post about it as much as I can because I want to help break the stigma of depression. And there's days I just posted about it today, actually, because today was the first day in a few weeks that I was like, you know what, depression is what I have. It's not who I am. And
Yep.
I wasn't going to stay in bed any longer. And I got up and I went to the gym and I said, you know what, I can't be depressed about things that I can change. So I'm working on getting out of the slump that I've been in the last few weeks. And I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I did not know about that. And depression awareness is just something that's really near and dear to my heart.
Do you know people in the industry?
Nobody that I'm friends with Bill Diamond. He might do it.
Nominate 3 people when you do it.
I will.
Nominate 3 people.
The best people I can to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, I would love to see you do it.
Get Lloyd Kaufman to do it.
There you go.
I'm gonna have to talk to them.
Well,
people and be like, hey, can you do me a favor? Just need you to get him to do a pie to the face.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're up for it, maybe what I could do is have you come on here for a Zoom and do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I had Deborah Lamb. I had her on a few months ago because I'm involved with the Witches in the Sand. And she did it right at the end of the interview. And afterwards, her husband arrived home. He looked at her. She had the pie in her face. And he says, have you done it yet? Oh, that was funny. Yeah. But yeah, I've had a few takers. But for a co-producer on 13th Fanboy, unfortunately, I've only had one of the higher uppers, maybe 2. I'm hoping to get 2 of the higher uppers to do it, but I'm surprised how many people don't take it seriously. And yet, when ALS had the Ice Bucket Challenge, yes, people did it just because it was friggin' trending, and I was naive to that.
I think it's too because I know, like, as much as I've been trying to talk about it and post about it, I've had a lot of people message me individually about their struggles with depression. And I think a lot of times people are scared to talk about it because they don't want to be looked at as weak because they're depressed or they're sad. And what a lot of people don't realize is you can't help it. It's not something that you choose to be. It's, the synapses in your mind and everything like it. So I think that might be part of it. People don't want to be looked upon as weak because they have depression. But I think those that have depression are the strongest because they fight through it every day.
I've beaten it several times, and I'll tell you, I'm not going to name names here, but there's an actress that I'm coaching through it as we speak, and she's had it for over a year, and she called me a couple days ago. She just needed to talk,
Sometimes
and
you just need an ear to listen.
And you know what? I'm open to that because I get it. And she's heard a lot of I don't know where you are politically, but I know that she mentioned the whole Donald Trump thoughts and prayers that was thrown around so loosely that it had no meaning, And I said, no, I'm a prayer warrior. I learned that going to church when I was young, and I still read my Bible, and that is, I still pray for people, I just don't go to church anymore because, well, it's become too much about money and not enough about people. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of the world today.
Yep. Well, you'd never believe how many charities I've given to get Doubtfire challenges done by some of these stars and get screwed over for it.
And it's really sad because you shouldn't have to donate money just to get them to do like a simple thing that could bring awareness to something that is so important today, because how many people have lost their lives to depression and suicide. And it's just, if literally taking a pie to the face will bring more attention to that and save just one person, then give me 5.
5 pies.
What is the worst? They gotta go take an extra shower.
Nice, soothing shower.
I'm not afraid of a pie to the face.
Have you ever been pie before?
Not that I can recall, but
I did it twice. I did it twice for this cause, and once with one of my guests, actually. So but I've been trying to get industry folks involved and stuff because that's what people want to see. And yeah, you're a part of some films I'm very, very familiar with, and that we are going to talk to. Actually, Scotty McCoy did The Cause a couple times.
Oh, awesome.
Yep, yep. But we'll go down through your filmography.
I've gotten to chat with him in our group chat for Reunion from Hell too. I haven't actually spoken to him individually, but we'll be filming soon, so I'll get to meet him in person.
I'm going to refer you to him for Slasher Scotty, his podcast, because Scotty's been on my show 5 times, and he will be on in January for 6. And I was on his show twice. Scotty's a great guy, very funny. He's the only person I know that I've seen pictures of at his workplace smiling. I can't get that excited about going to work.
But when you're that excited, it's not work anymore.
I guess not. I guess not. But Scotty's a character. You'll love him. So you're in good company there.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yep. I was an associate producer on Reunion from Hell, and I got the Blu-ray for the first one here. I've had, I'll go click on it here. I've had Hayden Newman, the director, on a couple times, and I'm going to be frank. When I first heard of the first one, I was very critical of the fact that he was the starring. I don't know whether he goes by he or she, and I don't want to sound offensive there. I don't.
Hey, Hayden.
Yeah, Hayden's great with me, you know, and I know Hayden's not offended with me, and you know, but I was very critical of Hayden having the starring role. Like what kind of experience? I'm going to be frank. I've seen a lot of fan films that look less than stellar.
I'm sure.
Yep, but I watched Reunion from Hell. I got to turn my phone off. I like how people try to call me while I'm doing an interview.
You're so popular.
Yeah. Anyway, I watched Reunion from Hell. I got the Blu-ray, and I was actually pleasantly surprised how good Hayden was in the film. And it's not easy to it's not easy to surprise me, because I was kind of dead against Hayden having the starring role with not as much experience as a lot of them, but I actually looking forward to seeing Hayden in the second one, because Hayden, I was surprised how good Hayden was in the film. So, and Hayden caught, well, I think it was Scotty might have told Hayden my comments, and Hayden reached out to me and was very happy of my comments. And I was like, well, you know what? I like being surprised. If somebody can surprise me, then fantastic.
Well, now I'm very nervous about what your reaction is going to be to me, because I don't have a lot of experience.
You're very pretty, though.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Very kind of you. At least I got that going for me. But
well,
I want to be known for my talent, not my looks.
You're right. You're right.
And that's
You're right.
You know, like most of the time you see me, I'll be in a t-shirt. A band t-shirt is probably about 90% of my wardrobe, because, you know, this is me. This is the real me. I'm not super flashy, anything like that. So,
you know what? That's great. I think it's great not to be super flashy.
I mean, I have nothing against the girls that can pull it off, you know, like power to them. Like, I just don't have the confidence. And I think it's great that, you know, a lot of women are able to put themselves out there. I'm not there yet. Maybe one day.
Well, you know what? Reunion from Hell 2 is filming now, I guess. And
yep, the end of January.
At the end of January? Yep. And I know Kathy Podwell from Night of the Demons was in the first one. This one here has got a few Nightmare on Elm Street alumni in it. I've interviewed Lisa Wilcox.
She is absolutely amazing. I got to work with her on The House That Eats Flesh, and now I didn't have any scenes with her in that film, but now I'm going to be like co-starring right beside her. And it was funny, before we started filming The House That Eats Flesh, I had this ongoing joke that I was just not going to be able to ask Lisa for a picture. And sure enough, it wasn't that I couldn't, it was just, we just got so busy, and I didn't want to add on to everybody else that was asking her for photos. So I had an ongoing joke that I was just going to pretend to take selfies with her in the background, and that was how I was going to get my photo with Lisa. So that's actually how I ended up getting my photo with Lisa on set for The House That Eats Flesh. I had a selfie and she was in the background. So that's, the only photo I got with Lisa aside from our cast photo.
You need to get a picture with her.
She was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, she was actually my first Skype interview, and that was back in 2016. I had interviewed her. She was also
a passion she brought to the project. She had so many ideas for how she wanted to look and act, and just being able to watch her. And she actually, because I was producer on the film, our director Josh Graves, he was like, Lydia, I just want you to kind of stick with Lisa, make sure she's good. If she needs anything, just take care of it. And I was like, absolutely. So she actually had given me her cell phone to take some behind the scenes photos while she was doing a couple scenes. So I was like, oh my God, I can't mess this up. This is Lisa's phone. So sure enough, I was like, bam, taking photos, videos. We got done. I gave it to her. I said, oh, I took so many pictures and videos for you. You'll be all set. She was like, I really only needed a few. And I was like, I'm sorry, I did not understand the assignment. I was like, I went for extra credit, apparently. I'm like, sorry, here's your phone back. Because I had just taken so many photos for her. Because I was like, I don't want to miss anything, because that might be the one that she wants. So I was like, I can't disappoint Lisa.
No. Oh, I'm sure she'll understand. She was very pleasant to interview when I had her on here. But yeah, they have. Let me see. Look at that.
We have Mark Patton.
Danny Hassel. That's right.
And this is going to be the first time that Lisa and Danny are going to be acting together since Nightmare on Elm Street. If I have that correct, I do believe this could be the first time back on screen for both of them in the same movie. So it's very exciting. You go be in scenes with both of them? So when I had originally reached out to Hayden about being in the film, he was like, oh, I just have this small part of Claire left. He's like, but I would absolutely love to have you. And I was like, I'm just starting out. Like I will take any role that you see fit for me. I don't care how many lines I have. I just want to be a part of the process. And, I'm just trying to do as many films as I can. That means stuff to me. Well, he had watched a podcast of mine, and he reached out to me and he was like, after watching your podcast, he's like, I want to make your role bigger. So I was just completely flabbergasted. And then unfortunately we did have an actress that dropped out who was one of the leads, and Hayden came to me and was like, Lydia, I think, you would be just as great for this part. And he actually made me one of the leads. He's like, you'll pretty much be in almost every scene from the beginning to the end. And I'm just like, oh, okay, no pressure. So this is my first lead in a film, so I'm very excited. So I'm going to be acting like right aside from these people that I'm just like looking up to, because Nightmare on Elm Street is one of my all-time favorite horror films. So not only did I get to work with Lisa on another film, now I'm going to be acting side by side with her. So I'm just I can't believe it, and just for Hayden to see that in me, was great as well. So I'm super excited about that. My suggestion, just relax. Yeah. Relax. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You made an impression on me, and I reached out to you after. There you go. There you go. You're fine. You're fine. I should have just sent you a message. Wave. Yeah, that came up in that conversation on that. Yeah, I've had a lot of those. I spent the most on 13 Fanboy. And I'm involved in some other films, but I've had to pull back because my finances aren't what they were then, and I got to take care of myself. You have to.
Well, I've got a CPAP machine now because I went from moderate to extreme sleep apnea. So I had to buy that. And then my car has stalled many times, including on a busy street. And I had
That's
to
not
get,
good.
yeah, I had to get a new car this past summer. So my finances dwindled down quite a bit. So, but I find it funny, and I know that you and Amy had touched on this. You get these messages where people say, "Hi, how you doing?"
Hmm.
when really they don't care how you're doing.
Not at all.
And I've had one person send me the same message 3 times, just different film titles and different whatever. And it's like, best of luck to your project. I can't afford it. And I even offered this person to come on my show to do a promotional interview, and I didn't hear anything on that. So I'm like, okay, duly noted. I get it.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, like I understand like Indiegogos, Kickstarters, it's all a part of making indie films because as we all know, indie films wouldn't be made if, people didn't donate money or the directors of the films didn't put in the money themselves. So it's very difficult. But I feel like all I'm doing is like asking people for money, and that's just not me. And that's why I try to like make my posts like fun and engaging and just try to get them involved, and be like, even if you can't donate, like share away, because then maybe somebody will see it that can. And I know when we were doing the Indiegogos for the House That Eats Flesh, I tried to make it really fun. So I would do like a lot of spoof videos. So like I recreated the opening scene of Scream, and I was like, what's your favorite scary movie? And I'm like, The House That Eats Flesh. Right now we're running our, like I tried to make it fun. We had one of the perks for The House That Eats Flesh was actually a model diorama of the actual house. So speaking of, Nightmare on Elm Street, I actually recreated the opening scene to Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and I remade the house.
Oh,
Because I'm like, if I'm doing this, I'm going all the way. So I spent 2 days recreating the opening scene of Nightmare on Elm Street 3. So now I have my cool little Nightmare on Elm Street house made out of popsicle sticks.
there you go.
Because I'm like, if I can't ask people for things if I'm not willing to put in the effort to get there myself.
That's a lot of popsicles to eat.
Luckily, I just bought the ones that were already done.
No.
I mean, the sugar high would have helped me do it because I was up almost 2 nights in a row just working on popsicle sticks, and can't tell you how many times I burned my fingers.
The Indiegogos are not so much the problem. I find it a little sketchy, and I've been warned about this. People asking for to support films by PayPal.
I've only seen a couple of projects do that, but yeah, it makes me skeptical as well. I mean, I know that PayPal does have, like buyer protection and things like that. So I know like PayPal would definitely have your back, but if I had to go the route, it would definitely be Indiegogo or Kickstarter. And there's actually a new one that I had read about when I was doing some research. I think it's like Seep and So it's a newer crowdfunding site, and I'm not 100% on it, but at least with those ones, they have your back, so yeah, I would be a little weary of PayPal myself.
Yeah.
And I think that people are doing that so that they don't have to pay Indiegogo. I mean, that's just my personal opinion, but I don't know.
There are some of these people, though, that I've been hit up by. Like I said, I've heard from one guy 3 times on 3 different projects. Like, how many projects do you have going on anyway? And like I said, I've had people have warned me, be careful about this. I know Rob Mahoney has warned me. Jimmy Presley has warned me, and I'm not going to mention names or anything like that. I don't want to cost anybody their film, but I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know how much actually, I was told how much I spent on 13 Fanboy, and it's like, I've got to, I got to take a step back,
I'm going to be eating a lot of ramen noodles.
Well, I don't owe any debt or anything like that. I paid what I had, but still, I think sometimes people don't get that. So, yeah. But I am willing to have people come on and support their Indiegogos and their films. And Reunion from Hell 2 has got a Christmas flavor to it.
Yes, we do.
You know what? I did kind of my 12 days of Christmas. I don't watch Christmas movies on Christmas Day. I go from the 12th right up to the 24th, Christmas Eve. And I watched a lot of Christmas movies. And since Reunion from Hell is a horror film, I watched a lot of Christmas horror films, like the original Black Christmas. I love the fan film It's Me, Billy. Terrific. I watched Christmas Evil, Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2. Um, I watched Secret Santa, Better Watch Out.
I think next Christmas you can have Reunion from Hell 2 in there.
There you go. There you go. And absolutely. So I did that. Did you watch any Christmas movies?
So I always watch A Christmas Story on Christmas Day.
I watched that one.
But I look back and I don't think I've ever watched that entire movie from start to finish, because I usually have the TBS 24-hour marathon on. So I'll always just like catch different parts of it. But I'm like, have I ever sat down and just watched the movie from start to finish? And I was like, no, I don't think I have, because I'm always just like doing something. So I always catch what I can catch. And I'm just like, I've seen every part of the film, just not in sequential order. And I'm just like, one of these years, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to actually watch that movie from start to finish, no interruptions. This year was just not that year.
Do you have a lag lamp?
I don't. But my Uncle Jimmy is a huge fan of the film. And so I've actually gifted him a little leg lamp.
Oh.
This year I actually got to go and see, because my birthday was 10 days before Christmas, and they were showing National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation at a local theater. So I went and saw that, and they actually had Chevy Chase there. So he came out and did a Q&A afterwards. So that was really exciting, because I got to see that right before Christmas, with everybody. And I had my "Why is the carpet all wet, Todd" sweatshirt on. So it was great to see everybody that was so excited to see Chevy, and to actually hear Chevy talk about, the making of the film and everything. So it was great.
I grew up watching Chevy Chase,
I love him.
Yeah. Yep. So many terrific films, from Vacation, Caddyshack, Fletch, you name it, Yeah, he was somebody I grew up watching. Yeah, must have been interesting just to see him there.
It was great to learn that he actually like improvs most of his movies. Like, he doesn't go off the script. Sometimes he said that he will, the directors he works with will have him film by the script, and then they go and back and have him improv what he wants to improv. And he said 9 times out of 10 they end up using his improvisations instead of the scripted version, which I take an improv class twice a week. So to me, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually doing something that might help me instead of, just trying to get myself through. And because I don't take any acting classes, I'm brand new to this, so when the improv class was offered to me, I was like, oh yeah, that seems like something really great. So to know that, big names such as Chevy Chase, live by their improvs, is really great for me to know.
Did you meet him?
I didn't get to meet him. I didn't get the VIP ticket. I just got a regular ticket.
Tell me, why is your carpet wet?
I don't know, Margot.
Let me see, what other ones? Is your shitter full?
Cousin Eddie is a great character.
Have you ever wanted to kidnap your boss?
Not yet, but let's see how Hayden does on the film. I'm just kidding, of course. I just kidnap him to hang out with him.
Well, if you get to hang out with Troy Elke, he does have a squirrel. So
oh my God, I absolutely love Troy to death. Love him. He was supposed to be in The House That Eats Flesh, but things popped up with travel and he just wasn't able to make it to the filming. So throughout the whole pre-production process, I actually got to talk to Troy a lot, and I absolutely adore him. So anytime I see a squirrel meme or something, I always send it to him because it's just great.
See, he could put the squirrel in your Christmas tree.
He totally could.
I've had Troy on here twice solo, and I did a 13 fanboy group Zoom at the beginning of the month. So Troy's been on here 3 times, and you hear his voice in 13 fanboy, but I think Troy is an undiscovered talent.
He really is, and he does a lot of voiceover work. But I honestly can't wait to meet him. If I ever get to work with him in person, it would be amazing, because we've had like video chats and things like that, and he's just like great to chat with. Absolutely adore him. You
just want to run your hands through the beard, right?
I do. I mean, who doesn't? If they say they don't, then they're
oh boy. Yeah, Troy is a good guy. I talk to him. I try to talk to him about once a week, so yeah.
I'm totally gonna have to message him after this. You're gonna send him a text.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I knew he was involved with The House Eats Flesh, but I'm sorry to hear that he wasn't able to be part of it.
Yeah. Everything happens for a reason, and it just means that I'm going to get to work with him on another project, and that's how I want to look at it.
Maybe you'll have to get in a squirrel outfit.
I totally would. I would do that for him.
You might have to jump out of a tree.
There's not much I won't do. I've actually climbed a tree in knee-high, high-heeled boots, in fishnets, and a mini dress for a photo. So me jumping out of a tree would be absolutely nothing at this point. The whole time I was climbing up the tree, the photographer was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "It's going to be a good photo. It's going to be just trust the process." And it ended up being one of my favorite photos from that shoot. But I'm like, yeah, I have no qualms about climbing a tree in some knee-high boots. So I would definitely jump out of one acting like a squirrel for Troy.
I'm going to contact Troy later.
Like, we're setting this up. I'm going to jump out of the tree with a pie and just hit him in the face with it.
Troy done the Doubtfire challenge, and he's threw it out to some of the Friday the 13th people, but I'm just having a hard time with people getting back to me on that. And it's almost like Ron Sloan did it, which was really cool. And I have somebody else from it, one of the higher ups. I'm not going to jinx myself by saying the person's name, but when they do it, then fantastic. But I'm really surprised that when I spend $3,000 on a movie, which 13 Fanboy I was told I did, and they turn me down on that.
Yeah, I would be upset with that as well.
Yep. Especially people like Judy Aronson, who said that they would on a cameo and then told me to retract my request. And I'm like, okay, there's somebody I won't be visiting at a con. It just makes me feel like my efforts weren't valuable enough. And that's another reason why I love to interview people from the smaller films, because they friggin' appreciate it.
Oh yeah, I would do anything I still feel weird saying I have like fans, but I always try to return every single message. And people are like, Lydia, I see you, like, you reply to every single comment on your page. And I'm like, absolutely. I said, if somebody's going to take the time out to say something to me, I'm going to take the few seconds or minute it takes to reply to them, because we're nothing without our fan base, and I think sometimes people forget that.
Well, you got two new fans, Troy and his squirrel. Troy and his squirrel are your fans now.
Yes, Troy's amazing. I love, like, we were talking so I have my own podcast, and Troy was watching and he was commenting, and I said a comment about a squirrel. I was doing some strange facts, and it was like the highest, like squirrels are responsible for a lot of the electrical outs. So immediately Troy was like in the comments, and I'm just like, thank you, Troy. This is perfect that you are watching this right now for when I'm talking about squirrels. And he was hitting me up with some facts about squirrels while I was talking about it. So I was like, I couldn't have timed this more perfectly.
What's your podcast called?
It's called Just the Deets, with Lydia Manson, all things strange and unusual.
Well, Troy is strange and unusual.
Yep, we already talked about having him on. I already told him. I said you have to come on this. And so we're just trying to figure out a date of when he'll be able to come on, but he's definitely going to be on it.
So, what's your show about?
I just like to do. So I've talked about like the Loch Ness Monster. I'm going to have an episode about Bigfoot. I like to, different urban legends. And then I'll have different friends that I've made throughout this past year through the industry, the indie industry, having them come on and talk about the projects they're in, and just getting to know them. Like I had Tom D'Amico, who actually was the assistant for Lloyd Kaufman for the past few years. I got to meet him at a convention. We teamed up. So I was really glad to make that connection. He's been on my podcast twice now. We actually got to talk, we had a conversation about the New Jersey Devil. So I like doing different urban legends, different strange facts, and just getting to know people in the industry. So, but I've only had my podcast for just a couple of months. So still got a lot of work to do on it.
Well, you know what? It gets better and it gets easier. It gets easier. You know what? If you're ever open to it, I'll be a guest on your show.
Absolutely. I would love to have you on.
Yeah, absolutely. But Reunion from Hell 2 hasn't started filming yet.
Nope.
But
just another month and we will be.
We won't give away any spoilers, but what can you tell me? Tell me about your character.
We haven't gotten the script yet, so I can't really tell you much. I know that my character is obviously not a recurring character from the first one, but I will be in a majority of the film, according to Hayden. We're supposed to be getting our films next week, so I will know a lot more about who I'm playing next week.
Are you going to wear a squirrel outfit?
I will ask Hayden if I can.
Troy will love this interview.
He was. Well, when I did, when we were in pre-production for The House That Eats Flesh, what I did was I went live with all the different actors and actresses from the film, and I was kind of doing Meet the Cast podcast with everybody. Mm-hmm. So when it was Troy's turn and he was available and I was doing the interview with him, I was dressed as Velma from Scooby-Doo, because I do a bunch of different cosplays, and Velma is one of my
favorites. Wow, really?
Yes. So I've done Velma, I've done Wednesday Addams, I've done Bride of Frankenstein.
I met Lisa Loring, the original Wednesday Addams at Frightmare in the Falls.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And she gave me her number right there, but I don't think she knows, is able to do Zoom. And I'm like, I don't really want to schedule it through the station when this is so much more convenient. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping I can get her on here, because she was a delight.
That would be amazing to meet her.
Yeah, I met her at Frightmare in the Falls last October. And she had a lot of people in her line. And it was pretty cool. I didn't watch the Addams Family growing up, I was aware of it, but I was like, when I went to this, I was like, I'd be foolish not to meet the original Wednesday Addams.
Oh, absolutely. If she's there, I would be in her line.
Yeah. So
I grew up with Christina Ricci as Wednesday Addams, but I mean, who are we without the people we pay homage to? And, without her creating that classic character, there would have been no follow-up. So I would absolutely adore to meet her.
Yeah, Lisa Loring was fantastic to meet. Before we get to The House That Eats Flesh, talk about your convention experiences.
So I've only been doing the acting thing for just about a year now. So
Mhm.
I started going to conventions just to promote the House of Eats Flesh because I was producer on it. I was acting in it. I wanted to get people interested in the project as much as I was. What better way to do that than to go when they're all gathered in one place? So the first convention that I ever did was the Cult Classic in Bastrop, Texas, which we all know is the birthplace to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that was super nerve-wracking, first of all, because I'm like, oh my God, this is my first convention. I'm here by myself. I'm promoting this film, but everybody there was just so amazing and welcomed me with open arms. And I'm actually going to be back there at the end of February this year for the Cult Classic convention again. So I'm super excited because I've been able to keep in contact with a lot of the people that I met at the first one that I was there for. Then I was part of a convention called Evil Expo, and that's actually where I met Trauma. So after after the convention had ended, Tom D'Amico had actually reached out to me and he was like, Lydia, if you're interested, because we're about 3 hours away from each other, I'm in New York and they're in New Jersey. He said, we have Monster Mania coming up. Monster Mania 46. He's like, if you would want to come and promote your film, he was like, we would absolutely love to have you at the Trauma table. And I'm like, well, who's going to say no to going to Monster Mania with Trauma? I was like, absolutely, I'll be there. So I started looking at the people that were going to be at Monster Mania 46, and I realized it's a Chucky reunion. And I do a Bride of Chucky Tiffany cosplay. So there I dressed, full Tiffany, and every time somebody would walk past our table, with a Chucky doll, I was like, how dare you even show your face? I was like, you don't even appreciate my Swedish meatballs. Like, I just went full out. And Alex Vincent was there, and it was the last day of the convention. I was like, oh my God, I got to go meet some of the celebrities and get their autographs. So I went into the one room where Alex was in, and Fiona Dourif was there as well. She was at the table right next to them. And Alex looks at me, and here I am dressed as Tiffany with my Chucky doll. And he just looks at me and points to me, and he's like, and I was like, me? I was like, okay. So like, I just immediately went over to Alex. So it was really great to meet Alex, like dressed as Tiffany. And then I got to meet Fiona Dourif. She was absolutely amazing too. And it turns out that we don't even live that far away from each other. So that was really great. I was able to meet Bill Moseley there and Kane Hodder. So that was probably my favorite convention that I've been at. So I can't wait to do more.
Who else have you met?
That's pretty much it right now.
You mentioned the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've interviewed, I think, 4 people from that original movie.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It was great being able to go to the gas station.
Did you fill up?
I did not. I filled up on some good barbecue. I did do that. But the Cult Classic convention that I was there for was actually a reunion for the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. But my table was unfortunately outside in Texas in the middle of July. So I was just trying not to die of heat stroke.
You don't want to do that as Tiffany either.
Oh, well, when I did Cult Classic, I actually I did kind of a female play on Leatherface. So I had a white button-down shirt. I just covered myself in blood. I had the apron. A friend of mine, William Instone, who's actually a director out of Texas, and he's making a film called Butcher's Bluff. I was said, hey, Will, do you have a chainsaw that I could use for this convention? And he said, yeah, of course. So he brought it, and he goes, that's a real chainsaw, Lydia. Do not turn it on. And I said, don't tell me how to live my life, Will. So I ended up seeing somebody who was dressed as Jason. So we ended up doing kind of a mashup, and I had him kill me, and I was running from him and screaming all around Cult Classic. And I was like, oh man, my scream was not as good as I had hoped for. And he looks at me, the actor's name is Cody, and he's like, well, we are, those are people's hotel rooms. They're probably trying to sleep. And I said, oh no, once I'm in character, that's it. So it was really great. I had a lot of fun with that. I got to meet the guys from the Guts podcast, which is a horror and hip hop podcast. They are absolutely amazing. They actually filmed our face off So I'm really excited to get to see them again at the end of February, and we'll see
That's
what kind of stuff
fantastic.
I do.
How fun is that when you I remember when I did my first con, and like I said, I assisted Lisa Langlois at her table, but there was a moment I got away for a moment and walked around, and the community of the horror fans is one thing that caught my attention. I was addressed by this woman dressed as a demented clown, and she says to me, she says, "I like your shirt," and I had a Clockwork Orange shirt, and yep, yep, and she unrolls her sleeve, and she had Clockwork Orange tattooed on her arm. Yep, the image you see on the of Malcolm McDowell with the knife and the bull hat, and I'm like, it was just cool, you can walk up to people in their cosplay and ask for a picture, and they're not offended, because you're a stranger, they love it. And I pretty much go after any cosplayer dressed as Harley Quinn.
Well, I've actually done Harley Quinn. I did Harley Quinn when I was at Evil Expo, so that was super exciting. And I did the Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into another person dressed as Harley Quinn, but they were the red and black Harley Quinn. And then there was a third Harley Quinn who was in the gold dress. So all three of us got a photo together. So that was really exciting.
Wow.
And me and the girl who was dressed in the gold dress Harley Quinn, we had entered the costume contest, and they announced Harley Quinn was the winner, and we were sitting next to each other, and we're like, well, which one? So I just grabbed her hand and I ran up on stage with her, and I said, we're both taking it. I mean, she looked absolutely amazing, but it was really great.
Okay, that was awesome. Yeah, I have a lot of fun at those, and I'm hoping to do a couple next year, probably in the fall, whenever I can get away. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with those. The House That Eats Flesh.
Yes.
I said to Troy Elke when he was going to be part of this, I said, if you're in it, it's going to be called The Flesh That Eats Shit. I could joke with Troy that way, and he's just great, and he never takes anything too seriously. But I'm gonna click on The House That Eats Flesh here.
He voiced a crouton in a film, so I mean, really, you can't do much better than that.
There you go. One of the things, now I'm not involved with The House That Eats Flesh, but I do know of it through Noelle Berger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know she's part of this film as well. Okay, so you know Noelle.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was originally, when I signed on to the film, she was our producer, but she had to step down. So now she's just an associate producer on the film. So I ended up, I took over for her as producer, but she's absolutely amazing. And she's actually working on a film with Mike Taylor right now. So they're going to be filming, I think, in just a few weeks.
Okay. So talk about your role in this film, because I haven't seen The House That Eats Flesh, so you're going to whet my appetite.
Well, I hope you enjoy. So The House That Eats Flesh is it's actually going to be a 3-part anthology. So I'm in the first part, which is the Thanksgiving part. And it's about a group of friends who had gone to high school together, and now it's about 10 years later or so, and they're all together again, because who doesn't want to leave their family when it's Thanksgiving time and just run off to a cabin in the woods? So that's what we did. And I play Luna in the film. So we come to realize that something just does not feel right about the house. Something is just off, and we find out that it was actually built on the gates of hell.
That's nice.
What better way to spend Thanksgiving? So Lisa Wilcox, her character in the film, she's actually the mother of Baghead, who is the killer in the film. So the house belongs to them, or they belong to the house, however you want to look at it. And she's been caring for the house and caring for her son for all these years. So as our group of friends is in the house, slowly, one by one, we all start going missing. And you'll just have to wait and see if I live or die in that.
Well, I see a picture of you on IMDb where I don't know whether you had blood splattered on her, or whether you just had an exploding juice box.
That one happened. It was a jelly donut. Yes. That is probably one of my favorite stills from the movie, is just half my face covered in blood. And it was actually really funny. Our assistant director, Melissa Sapienza, to get that photo, because somebody in front of me had been killed and their face had been smashed to the table. So we had to make it look like, well, if somebody was spitting out blood at me, what would it look like? So Melissa actually filled her mouth with blood, and it was in there for a couple of minutes. So when it was finally time to spit it at my face, we get the shot and I'm just like, oh my God, that was so warm. But the dedication she had, I really give it to Melissa. She was a trooper for that one. We had cut up pieces of celery to make it look like the teeth had been spit out at me. And I have to keep a straight face because, I'm acting, but I'm literally getting a mouthful of blood spit at me. And some people, they commented on the photo when I had posted it, and they're like, that doesn't look realistic. And I said, it could not have been more realistic. I'm like, that blood was literally spit out of a mouth into my face to make it look like blood had been spit out of a mouth. I said, it could not have gotten more realistic than it was. So being covered in blood is just like my thing now.
There you go. Well, makeup and stuff in these films. I don't know what your process of that been, but what's your favorite makeup scene in a movie, like where they've done you up or something? Have you had anything extensive like that yet?
So the only time I've really had like full out makeup done for me so far would be, I filmed an episode of this comic book turned series called Talking with the Dead.
Okay.
So it's about zombies and the effects of cannabis on the and all this stuff. So I got to play a zombie in that film. And I get to film this at Bill Diamond Studios. So that was like a dream come true, getting to meet Bill and go through the studio and everything. So the makeup artist, Tracy, she was absolutely amazing. She did airbrush to make me look like a zombie. So that was really great. And I had to go through a waterfall, and I'm still good to go. So, like that was probably my greatest one so far.
Oh, wow. So were you into the kind of theatrics since you were young? Like, when did you decide this was what you wanted to do?
I started all of this on a whim. Josh Gray, I was following the film The House of Eats Flesh for a friend of mine who was in it at the time. And
Okay.
Josh had posted that he was looking to fill a couple of roles. So I reached out to him and I was like, I would be interested. So he told me, can you film a monologue and send it to me? And I was like, absolutely. But then I'm like, oh my God, what monologue do I do? Because I'm like, I've never acted before. Like, I did one high school play and that was it. So I'm like racking my brain, like searching all night looking for a monologue. And I'm asking Josh, I said, well, the character you have me in mind for, can you tell me about her? Like, so I can look up a monologue and I told him, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist and I just could not get past it. So I eventually got to the point where I just ended up writing my own monologue. And I went to a cemetery and drank from a goblet of blood, because that's what you do when you're auditioning for a horror film, and just ran through a cemetery drenched in blood. And that's how I got my first part. So The House of Eats Flesh was actually the first film that I had been cast in, but it ended up being, I think, the third or fourth thing that I actually got to film. So that was really exciting.
Absolutely. I heard a lot of, like I said, I was not involved in this movie due to, well, I had other things come up, but it was certainly, I know Troy Elke had definitely been promoting it, and so is Noelle Berger. Yep. She was heavily into the production of this movie as well. Oh, and I'm going to Angel Bradford.
Oh my God, I absolutely love her.
Well, she's somebody I've been in contact with. I plan to have her on in 2022. I reached out to see if she wanted to come on before the end of the year, but she go do next year, and I'm like, that's totally fine with me, So perfect.
Yeah, we call each other set sisters. because so we were on the House That Eats Flesh together, and then actually I'm part of an anthology called Campfire Scream Queens, or Scream Queen Campfire. So my short story is called The Dark Office that I'm in, and she's in another short story of it. We didn't get to film at the same time, but we'll be a part of the same movie when it's all finished. But we're actually going to be in another film together called Alibi, it's actually written and directed by the director of photography of The House That Eats Flesh, Carlos Berber. So super excited that I can't wait to see Angel again. And I think she actually might be going to the Cult Classic convention with me at the end of February to help promote the film. So I absolutely love her and adore her.
Are you two go?
She actually did some of the special effects on The House That Eats Flesh. So
Are you two good?
Actress, she does special effects.
Are you two go dress up like squirrels and go after Troy?
We might have to. I believe he's in Oregon, so we might have to stop there. I think I would be a flying squirrel.
There you go. You know what? You get a bunch of the girls together, and you guys could be like a cult of squirrels.
Oh my God, Troy, we love you. Just picture it now.
He'd love that.
Oh, I'm sure he would.
Yeah, Angel Bradford's going to be coming on here, and go look at your other credits on here because I don't want to miss anything on here. You have one on here called Scream Queen Campfire. That's the one you're doing with okay.
So that's going to be an anthology. So The Dark Office that you'll see on there is my short story. Our director, Jonathan Moody, he was going to release it as a short individual.
Okay.
Just so I could get my name out there, because Jonathan was just absolutely amazing to work with. And, the fact that he's willing to do that for me, I think was great.
Well, you got one called Go Straight to Hell, which is, I prefer to go the opposite way, but
yeah, I mean, after the filming of that, that one we're actually going to be refilming that come the spring. But yeah.
Oh, why? What happened?
Just a lot of stuff happened on set. So
okay. You got to have the same people or different people, or
I believe they're bringing back most of the same cast, but there is going to be some recasting in that.
Oh, okay, because it's listed on here. So
yep.
Okay, we won't get into that in detail, just in case it's a touchy subject.
I don't do drama, and that was a lot of drama.
No, but you know what? Don't blame you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care if people bring it up, but I don't force it. Now, STZ, what is that?
So that's going to be filming, I believe, in March of 2022 coming up. So it's actually frustrated zombies. I can never remember what the T stands for, because I always want to go sex crazed zombies, and I'm like, well, that's a C. So I'm like, but STZ, yep, it's all about zombies. So can't wait for that. I'm actually going to be filming one of Molly Souza from The House of Eats Flesh. She's going to be in that, so I get to work with her again, and I'm really excited for that. Alyssa Volpe is going to be in it. She's an amazing actress, and also she's a professional makeup artist too. She's done makeup for people at the Grammys and stuff. So I'm like, can you do my makeup? So
oh wow,
yeah, really excited for when that gets to go. That's going to be directed by Matthew Clark. So
maybe it stands for sexually timid zombies.
I don't think so.
you don't think that would make a great 90-minute, 2-hour movie? Sexually timid zombies.
I always want to say sexually transmitted zombies, but I'm like, that just sounds really bad. But I'm like, I'll play the zombie.
Sexually timid.
Fun.
Sexually timid zombies.
That's what I'm gonna tell. I'm gonna show up and be like, no, I'm timid. I can't do that. I'm too timid. I'm too shy.
So one thing we haven't done was go into your background. I just wonder if you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and how you come to where were you before you decided to get into acting? What was your passion?
So I actually I went to college for criminal justice. I was a corrections officer for New York State for a long time. And then I ended up getting hurt on the job. So after, that opportunity was taken away from me, I'm like, what am I going to do? And that's just when I happened, to fall in line with Josh Graves. And, I continue to thank him all the time, because I'm like, had you not given me that opportunity and cast me in that first role, I'm like, none of this would have happened. I probably would have gone back to college. The plan was to go back to college, and I was going to go and major in pre-law, because I'm like, well, what can I do with a criminal justice degree? I can't be a police officer anymore. So I was going to go back to college, but here I am trying to be an actress. It's funny how the world works out.
Wow, you were a corrections officer.
Yep.
Wow, that is awesome. I'm not gonna mess with you.
You'll be fine. I used to always hate when I'd be like, oh, I work at this prison, and people would be like, oh, what are you, a secretary? I'm like, no, I'm an officer down back with the inmates. Like, people look at female corrections officers a different way than they should. And so I was happy to break the stigma on that as well, and be like, nope, I'm down back with the inmates.
Did you see Harold and Kumar there?
I did not, but I actually I got to see David Berkowitz, the Son of Sam killer, so that was pretty interesting.
I saw Summer of Sam. That movie Spike Lee did. I don't know if that's based on the same.
I don't think I've seen that, but I mean, that was a crazy summer in New York City when David was doing his rounds. But at the time that I actually was in charge of him, I will say just in charge, because he was at the hospital, so I was the officer assigned to his room at the time. I was actually reading the book Mindhunter, which is written by the FBI agent who coined the term serial killer. And I was at the part in the book where he actually he was on his way to Attica to meet David Berkowitz and interview him. So I was reading that part at home, and then I go to work, and there he is. So I'm like, it's crazy how it all intertwined.
Did you beat the crap out of him?
I would never do that.
You save that for on screen.
Yes.
For the sexually timid zombies.
Yes. And then a flying squirrel comes out of nowhere, and I'm just like, ah.
You're gonna be the flying squirrel.
Yeah, I'll have to get somebody. Maybe I can get Troy in on this film.
There you go. Troy could lead an army of a squirrel cult.
He really could, and they would all listen to him and not even second guess it.
Do you have any charities that you're involved in that you want to plug and promote on here?
I actually just was cast in. It's called Ghostbusters Hell Fury, and it's actually a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. So I guess that would be the closest thing that I'm actually involved in as far as charity goes. I'm super excited to be a part of that. I get to play Kylie Griffin, who is one of the Ghostbusters in the cartoon version. So I get to bring her to life for it. So we're going to be filming in New York City at the original fire station. We have an Echo One replica that we're going to be filming with. So I've been working close with a few of, for instance, Tom Gebhardt. He's the assistant director on it. And he goes around and, he's dressed up as a Ghostbuster, and he goes and does a lot of charity events. So I'm very excited to be a part of that.
Okay. I was just thinking, if you're not doing anything before the end of the year, if you wanted to get this in before New Year's, if you wanted to do your Doubtfire challenge on Zoom.
Absolutely.
Would you be up for that?
I'd be up for it.
Okay, because that wouldn't take very long, but if you're up for it.
You got it. Got till the end of the week.
There you go. Yeah. I put them up on my YouTube, but you can also put it up there too, and my YouTube is not monetized. I don't make money off this. I work as a cleaner. I was an essential worker through this whole mess going out there, and so that's how I make my money. And I do this because I enjoy it, and I love discovering people like yourself. Like before yesterday, I was not familiar with you, and it was just a matter of me commenting on a post that Amy Crabtree put. And then when you mentioned you were an actress, I clicked on you and I was like, number one, I love the goth look,
Thank you.
and I was like, okay. Then I looked you up online and I was like, okay, I'm familiar with some of these titles. I got to have you on. So that's when I reached out. So I was happy to do this, and have you come on here. And I know I think you got an improv thing coming up, so I'm going to let you go soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had a great time. Now I can't wait to take a pie to the face.
Well, when would you want to do that? You want to do that? I know I got an interview at this time tomorrow. So you want to do it tomorrow, or do you want to do it Thursday or Friday?
Let's shoot for Friday because my podcast is Thursday nights. So I will get a pie ready to go for that, and I will try and think of 3 great people, one of which I think is going to be Troy.
Troy's done it. Yeah, Troy's done it. Troy was in drag when he did it too.
Maybe I'll dress as Wednesday Addams for mine.
There you go.
That way, if I did Velma, I'd ruin my glasses, and I don't want to do that. So I'll have to do Wednesday Addams for that.
There you go. Okay, we'll talk on Messenger and arrange a time for it, and yeah, we'll come on here and yeah, I'll send you a message tonight, and you arrange a time, and then I'll send you the Zoom for it, and then we'll do it on Zoom, and I'll mention what this is all about and Doubtfire Challenge.
Can't wait.
Well, you know what? It was wonderful having you come on here, and I look forward to seeing you lead Reunion from Hell 2.
I'll follow closely behind Lisa and Mark and David. Like, I'll just follow behind them and be like, Hayden, tell me what to do. I just hope I don't disappoint.
I think you'll be fine. Yeah, absolutely. Before I let you go, I'd love a plug for my show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Hi, my name is Lydia Manson, and I am here with Greg Gilbert, and you are watching. And I already forgot the name of it. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Python's Paradise.
There you go.
Do it over again. Hi, I'm Lydia Manson, and I'm here with Greg Gilbert, and you are watching Python's Paradise. Thank you.
Absolutely.
How was that?
That was great. That's great. I'll connect with you on Messenger and arrange a time for your Doubtfire Challenge on Friday. That'd be a good thing for New Year's Eve. So
maybe I could get a bunch of my Ghostbusters in on it.
There you go.
So thank you so much for having me, Greg. It was an honor. Thank you.
You know what? I appreciate you standing out, and it's happy to get to know your story. And next year, maybe around this time, I'll have you come back and we'll do a follow-up.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about how you knocked it out of the park with all these projects.
Hopefully.
And Melvin the Mop Boy having to clean it up in his tutu.
Yep. What better way than with the Toxic Avenger?
There you go. Absolutely. Anyway, God bless you, and thank you so much for coming on here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You take care, and we'll be in touch.
Alrighty. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.